Hi, Curtis here, creator of The Invincible Man, The Masked Avenger, and The Quitters. I'm going to be inking The Invincible Man today. So, this is more of a villain pose. So, this is again one of my three posters, or four posters that I'm making for the Invincible Man film. So, I'm hoping to get all of these done soon. I printed and sent off the first two and got them back. And now I'm just waiting to finish this one, and I have to shade another one, and then I will be done all the posters. It's really nice. So and then I'll have to obviously send these off to the printers. So today it'll be inks and coloring, hopefully. We'll see how far I can get before I have to go to bed. Getting a little bit quicker at the drawing, so more and more I get used to it. I was having a little bit of difficulty trying to find the pose I wanted for this character. I tried a few different iterations, and kind of this pose came out, and I just really liked how it looked. So looks pretty menacing. I'm not sure if I'll keep the ear in there. I kind of put that in and then realized that my character doesn't really have an earpiece per se. So might have to delete a little bit of that line thereafter. So it's been nice doing some promotional work. I took the week off from making cartoons, but did some other stuff that's maybe a little bit more promotional. Didn't do a vlog this week either, but again, just kind of took the week off just to rest my mind a little bit. And then I discovered how I can do live videos, which has been a thing I've wanted to do for a while, but I didn't really understand the technical parts of it. There's a bit of a learning curve and figuring stuff out, but it wasn't too hard actually once I just buckled down and tried it. So part of the reason I don't zoom in super close when I do inking is shorter brush strokes are a little bit easier for inking. So if I have to travel across the entire screen, it's harder to maintain a smooth, consistent line. But if I zoom out like this, I can actually maintain a smoother line with this app. And then the other thing is it gives me an overall feel for how the drawing's looking. So if I really zoom in, you can sometimes get not tunnel vision, but you kind of don't really see how it's looking in the big picture, and if certain lines look a little bit off or not. It's going pretty good so far, I think. Not sure if I'll draw the elbow in there. Some of that is just merely for construction. It's not so much for the actual finished drawing. So, and I'm not sure if this will make sense, but it'll just look good and add a bit of variety to his back, or to the picture. So, just draw a little bit of the front breastplate. And he's got a bit of a belt. I usually draw most of my characters with a belt just to kind of break up the colors and stuff like that, just in character design. Most of my belts don't really serve a purpose. It's not like Batman or someone with a utility belt. It's just to break up the character design a little bit. This was my first time really drawing a character from the back. Especially with something like armor, where it's like you really got to think like, what's happening back there. Thought it turned out pretty good though. The style of these posters does deviate from my art style I use for the animations and film. Actually deviates quite a bit from it. Probably looks a bit more comic booky, which I don't mind. It's something different, but generally looks pretty good. Yet I still feel like it's my style, even though it's slightly different from what I'm used to drawing. I would still recognize this as kind of my own art. That's a good thing to develop as early as you can, is drawing enough and creating enough content or finished art so that you can actually develop your own style eventually. If you can leave the reference on the floor as soon as possible, I think there's a definite benefit to that. Just gonna check my mic level here. I think I'm a little bit low, so I'll turn it up a little bit. It looked a little loud before, but hopefully that's a little bit better. Normally when I work, I watch YouTube a little bit, or I listen to music, so it's a little bit weird workflow now. Just had to see what's happening here. So this is, not to spoil too much, but this is kind of more of a villain poster. I don't know if it really spoils it saying that there's a villain in the film per se, but maybe it raises the question as why is he wearing the invincible armor? Perhaps. But I do plan on having him possibly in a trailer. So. Should probably start thinking about the next trailer and what I want it to be about. I like having a bit of theme when it comes to the trailers. The first theme was just showing the invincibility of the suit. And then the next trailer, I might make it about Foxy actually. Kind of show her as a more prevalent character. This is going so pretty good so far. I put the writing on here, but I didn't really think to delete it. So there's going to be a bit of writing on this poster. So I don't mind having a little bit of writing, but and then I'll probably make one more kind of poster-ish thing, which will be for a DVD cover or like an actual movie poster, where you'd have things like names of the actors and the company and all that stuff. Just gonna zoom in a little bit though. So I showed some of my family the Foxy poster and the Masked Avenger versus Invincible Man poster, or Ultimate X-Man poster, and they really like both of them. There's almost a bit of not a texture, but when it has solid colors, it actually kind of makes it look like a painting a little bit, which is kind of cool. It's not, I don't put texture into my materials really and my coloring, so it almost gives it kind of like a painted looking effect, which I really like. So yeah, on his armor he's got a bit of a knee pad. Yeah, I think this picture will probably make it onto the back of the DVD when it's done. And then the front will be the Invincible Man. It's a little disorienting drawing through these words. The back will be this drawing, and then I think the front will be more the Foxy and Matt. So I'll have to work on that, the Foxy and Matt one, and then that one will obviously have the logo on it, whereas something like this doesn't necessarily have the logo on it. It's just kind of like a cool poster with some art. Probably won't shade him today. I'm just hoping to be able to do these maybe within the next 2 weeks or so. Finish up all these posters. And have them ready for maybe around Christmas or so. I don't know how that works. I didn't do the math in my head. Christmas? Yeah. If I order them now, or if I order them in 2 weeks, yeah, they should be here by like mid-November or something like that. This part's a little hard to see what's going on. Should have maybe hit the writing before I saved it. Yeah, the writing will go in the top right hand corner. And then you're probably wondering about his cape, and that's going to go on a different layer. I'm just going to put it over everything, I think. So now I got to make, I'll do his fists first. Then I got to make some decisions on the head. I'm going to do the ear or not. I could always do the ear on a different layer and then hide it after. Let's try actually. Try that one more time. One thing I got thinking about too this week was I was talking to a fellow artist, and he was talking about all the things I could do as an animator to kind of improve. And really, not a lot of it was, I would call, new information. He talked a little bit about like turning the head on my characters and stuff like that. And it's something I know I could do, and if I wanted to. And sometimes you can put limitations on yourself on purpose for whatever reason you have. That was let's see how that works. So, that was like a choice not to do multiple poses on the heads, like to be able to turn them a little bit. That was actually quite a conscious choice I made early on, because part of what I wanted to do was to be able to tell a lot of stories in a quick amount of time. And oh yeah, that does not look good. Okay, let's try the other hand. We'll take a break from that. And I wanted to tell a lot of stories in a very short amount of time because I'm only one person, and I wanted to tell a lot of Masked Avenger stories at the time. And so I decided to kind of limit my style, and quite a bit on purpose. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I can't do this. Like, I could do it, actually. It would take a lot more time, especially when it comes to designing the characters. And then the other thing at the time, my artistic limitations were that I wasn't good at drawing, at least at the time, I wasn't really good at drawing characters from different angles. The same character. So that was my artistic limitation. But also I wanted I'll have to make a decision there a bit later. That was my artistic limitation as well. Is just I wasn't good. That's why I stopped doing the comic book. And so it's okay to be self-aware and know your limits, or even put in limits on yourself just for a time being, for whatever reason you might have. So it's not bad. Like, you don't have to put out the best quality, especially when you're starting and stuff like that. I think the best thing is just to focus on just finishing stuff like that, And I try not to get too hung up on like a perfectionist sense of things. Like I do certainly have my own standards, but I mean they're definitely not as strong as some people I know. So it's okay to have limitations and just stuff you don't want to do for the time being as a creator. I definitely have that, and I'm definitely okay with it, to be honest. Like here, do I put all this handwork in, or does it look funny? I think I could put that in, give me a few different things to shade. So yeah, how does a hand look from there? So kind of goes like this, and then like that. And because you do limits and choose not to do things, it doesn't necessarily make you a bad artist. It's just time constraints. You even hear some of these great comic book artists, and you know, there is the reality of working on a deadline. You kind of have to get stuff done. And it's not that I'm a deadline artist per se. It's just I want to get a lot of content out. And so my goal is probably, I would say, more quantity oriented, and not necessarily that one is better than the other. There's great artists who produce a lot of content, and there's great artists who produce quality content, and there's probably a good mixture of guys who do both, quality and quantity. So I mean, just whatever you prefer and whatever works best for you, I think, is what you got to choose, right? But I chose that I wanted to tell a lot of stories because I have a lot of ideas in my head, and so I chose a simple art style that I could do myself because I knew that I wouldn't get a lot of help, and you gotta pick kind of your art style sometimes based on what you're able to do, right? So it's not always based on, you know, a perfect scenario like owning a giant studio with hundreds of animators or something like that, right? So sometimes you make those choices to be able to actually produce content and finish content. So now what I think I'll do, I really like that line there, so I can use this inner one, have it inset. That was the choice I was trying to make, is do I inset the glass or do I stick it out a little? And then ear on a different layer, just looks kind of cool even if it's not in the final. And then cape. Capes is something I'm trying to do a little bit better. This one turned out pretty good, actually. So we'll see how the inking turns out on it. Watched a tutorial, you'd call it, maybe, on how to do capes recently, so I was pretty happy with that, actually. Just made it sound so simple. Especially with something as random as a cape. The thing is, I wanted a big flowy cape at first. But the problem I ran into was I actually wanted the character, like, to be able to see as much of the character as possible. So I had to kind of cut back on the amount of cape I have showing over his body. So okay, kind of flows over the shoulder. So a little bit of leg on the mouse. There we go. Then I wanted it to block a little bit of his face. Let's give it a bit more volume here. Then I wanted to kind of swoosh where the neck is, if that makes sense. And then a line connecting the cape. There's nothing more epic in character design than a great looking cape. With my art style though, I have to be careful not to add too many lines or else it looks too busy for what I have. So try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so I guess I'll duplicate this and then I think I'll erase and have the hand in front maybe of his leg. So that means I gotta erase a chunk of it. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's the inks. No, it doesn't look quite right. Let's try erase the leg and see how that looks. And then for the background, I plan on doing kind of like a smoky, kind of green and black effect. I think it'll look very nice. Let's see how that looks. I do want it to look like his arm is kind of cocked back a little. So, okay, so let's save that. And then we're going to try color. So the easy color is the white. What I'll do is just turn the layer transparency on so I can start with that. Nice and easy. This is armor. This is all armor. Obviously, some of this stuff will be covered by the cape. I'm really happy with how these inks turned out actually. Just missed 2 spots I've seen so far with the inking. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, it's getting a little laggy with the big brush because I'm streaming and recording. So, see, just 2 little areas I need to touch up. There's just a little. So I'm thinking that's looking pretty darn good actually now without the pencils. And then the next thing I'll probably do is let's open this and let's grab his cape just to see how it looks. Sure, it kind of looks okay. Just make sure we get the right color there. Okay. Oh yeah. So I didn't actually close off the cape. So I need to actually close it off so it can be colored properly. And it needs to be closed off here. One thing as an artist I haven't played around with too much is line weight. Just color pick it again, just to make sure. So that should be good. Save. And we'll grab the visor color while we're here. Yeah, very happy with how the design turned out on this guy. And then grab one more color. And I think that should be it. Oh, that's maybe why I shouldn't have done the cape first, is I cannot see underneath it. Just saw another place where I need some white. Let's start with that. So that's something I need to touch up, is on the neck. Just saw that. Okay. And then I noticed there was just a little piece under here. Okay. So it looks like I have all the white. Got his cape, and we'll hide the background. So I would say that looks pretty awesome. So that's the inks and colors. Went pretty quick. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Nothing really stands out to me in a negative way, so yeah, pretty happy with that. I just want to maybe just see what a black background looks like on that. If I fill black, just for fun. And then let's say if I add like a weird kind of green. And let's just play around for a second before I go. If I go like that. I do something like that where it's kind of smoky. Yeah, I'll have to see maybe what the plans are. But anyway, that's the Invincible Man. And then I'll have to add some text, I guess, to it. Alright, seize the day, create something you're passionate about.